Hi, and welcome to WFP Reviews, where we look at the best of classic British films and programs. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe and hit the bell to get updates. This time, we look at our first movie with Sir Michael Caine, 1965's The IPCRESS File, the film that proved he was a bankable star. Back in the mid-1960s, producers Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli became the kings of the world when their first three James Bond films started the dominant franchise of the era. Looking for more spies for his stable, Saltzman grabbed the rights to the first novel by author Len Deighton. Saltzman then began preparing for a spy movie far from the world of 00 agents, but used much of the talent from the Bonds to do it. This included production designer Ken Adam, editor Peter Hunt, and composer extraordinaire John Barry. The hero of the IPCRESS File novel was a nameless spy who hadn't gone to upper-class schools. There's a great story that when Harry Saltzman needed a drab name for the character, Michael Caine suggested Harry, which the producer found amusing. Caine later added Palmer for the second name, based on a dull schoolmate. So, Harry Palmer was born, an intriguing creation. He's not the agent in those other movies. He doesn't have a family coat of arms. He's an army sergeant, not an officer who belongs to private clubs. Further, as a minor criminal, his service to Her Majesty is only driven by the need to stay out of military prison. On the other hand, while not being part of the old boys club, Harry is well-read, likes classical music, and is a great gourmet cook. The French coffee press we see in the opening credits was very unusual for 1965. Most importantly, he's smart and doesn't play by the rules. While Litz gets him in trouble with his superiors, it also gets result when he's on a mission. And in his first movie, Palmer's mission deals with who is brainwashing the great scientists of Britain. IPCRESS opens with the scientist being grabbed and Palmer's team being ordered to get him back. After that, it's an increasingly deadly cat-and-mouse game all around London as Harry tracks the abductors while dealing with the tension of two superiors who don't like or trust each other. In the film's final chapter, Palmer discovers the dark truth of IPCRESS and the scientist's brain drain at great cost to himself. I do hate spoilers, and there are some major twists in the plot that I don't want to reveal, so I'll let you discover them when you watch the film yourself. In some ways, the actual plot of IPCRESS doesn't matter so much as the mood and style of Palmer's world. First of all, it's gritty and bureaucratic. Agents work in dingy offices filling out surveillance forms and worrying about pay grades. Also, while Bond had the glamorous Moneypenny to flirt with, IPCRESS has Alice. Played to drab perfection by Frida Bamford, Alice is a chain-smoking secretary with a rat's nest hairdo and a raspy manner. She'd clearly never work for M. Next, there's the music. John Barry chose to feature the Hungarian cymbalom, creating a score that's mysterious and evocative of Eastern Europe, which is perfect for a Cold War thriller. One of my first rules of cinema is you can have a bad movie with good music, but you can never have a good movie with a bad score. And Barry's cool and moody soundtrack is a big plus in this film. IPCRESS was the only Palmer film that Barry scored, and it's interesting that it's considered to be the best. Then there are the locations. As Ken Adam explained in interviews, the movie's lower budget caused almost all filming to be on location around London. Deighton's novel featured some globetrotting, including a jaunt to a U.S. Army facility on a Pacific atoll, but the story was extensively rewritten to save costs. Personally, I didn't mind the changes, as I'm one of those who preferred the film version, which is tighter and easy to follow, for the sometimes confusing book. Also, today it's still fun watching a movie filmed in 60s London, around sites like Trafalgar Square and the Victoria and Albert Museum. On this point, Adam was amused that he was nominated for BAFTA awards for both IPCRESS and the much more expensive Goldfinger, and won his design award for IPCRESS, which stunned Harry Saltzman. The IPCRESS File is a rather eccentric-looking movie, which didn't go down well with producer Saltzman either. Perhaps in an effort to keep costs down, the film was directed by little-known Canadian Sidney Furie. To create an atmosphere of mystery and deceit, Furie chose an unconventional approach. Many scenes were shot at disorienting angles, looking up at the actors instead of filming them straight on. Many scenes are filmed through hallways, keyholes, or peering through lamps. At times things are even out of focus, when hero Harry isn't wearing his glasses. Furie's style evoked movies like The Third Man and German Expressionism, but the producer hated it. The story is, he wanted to fire the director, but was dissuaded by editor Hunt, who managed to preserve Furie's vision in the film's final cut. IPCRESS also featured some famous set pieces, including scenes with a very sinister device, and this famous meeting with the bad guys. Then, there's young Michael Caine himself. He'd famously rose to prominence in 1964's Zulu, co-starring with Stanley Baker and Jack Hawkins, but IPCRESS was the first film he had to carry in the lead role. Of course, he carries it with the effortless, quiet charisma that became his hallmark, and he was quite clearly a different kind of action hero. With a trim build and glasses, he clearly doesn't have the physical presence of Connery, but Harry's tough like a terrier when he needs to be. I also think a big part of Caine's appeal, particularly in the class-conscious UK, was that he seemed like a guy you could have a drink with, but he still had the gumption to stand up to the stuffy handlers. Those handlers are part of a solid cast, with Guy Dolman as head man Colonel Ross, and Nigel Green, Caine's color sergeant from Zulu. The cast also includes Sue Lloyd as Palmer's obligatory love interest, Gordon Jackson, and Zulu's Glenn Edwards, who gets a promotion from Army Corporal to Police Sergeant in this film. IPCRESS was the first of 3 theatrical Palmer movies made in the 1960s, with Caine appearing in 2 more made-for-TV productions in the 1990s. The series holds an interesting ground between the far-fetched Bonds and the grim realism of John le Carré. Dayton's Palmer stories have a little bit of both, a grey working world with fantastic elements such as giant computers, private armies, and futuristic brainwashing. The success of the IPCRESS File was a major step for Michael Caine and is still great to watch today. Looking back at his character, Caine noted it was interesting to play a Cockney spy in a dangerous setting.
I'd already been in a successful movie called Zulu, but I played a very posh officer in that. I didn't play anyone like me. And in the IPCRESS File, it was a sort of Cockney spy, you know, so it was more like the real me, you know, not that I was ever a spy, but at least I was a Cockney.
Hi, thanks for watching. IPCRESS can be a little difficult to track down, especially if you're trying to stream it. A little hard to find. TCM does run it from time to time, so you can catch it there. I'd also recommend this nice transfer Blu-ray, which came out a couple of years ago, and it looks about as good as a film can look now, so you can give that a try. Also, of the other Harry Palmer films, the one I'd probably recommend would be the third in the series, which was Billion Dollar Brain, with Michael Caine and Carl Malden, and that was very flamboyantly directed by Mr. Ken Russell. Of course, that's about the only way Ken could direct. So, appreciate you watching, and do comment, and look forward to welcoming you back again soon to Walt's Flicks Picks.